Chapter 61 Split the Akatsuki Organization in Advance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiaonan sat down hesitantly, but the herbal tea in front of me didn't move. Although I don't know what this herbal tea is, I can tell at a glance that it is a refreshing drink to relieve summer heat, but after all, you don't know whether the other person is a friend or an enemy, so naturally you don't dare to drink from the other person. Natsuki calmly took a sip of the herbal tea he brought out in Konoha village, and then let out a comfortable sigh. In the past, Shemu had never thought about how he would face the Akatsuki. After all, it would be a few years before he would face the Akatsuki organization. Now the time has advanced. In Natsuki's memory, Nagato and Konan have always been wary of Obito. That's why Xiaonan spent all Kakuzu's hard-earned money to prepare the detonating charm. It's a pity that Xiaonan didn't know the existence of Izanagi, which led to Xiaonan falling short in the end. Natsuki still felt that it was not enough. There was some information that Xiaonan Nagato still didn't know clearly. Natsuki is ready to explode their conflicts in advance and create more obstacles for Obito. Do you remember Juzuk? Xiaomu said something shocking, and Xiaonan stood up in shock. He almost turned the table over, but fortunately Xiaomu quickly held the table down with his quick eyes and hands. Who are you? Xiaonan stood up and entered a fighting state, with pieces of paper flying from his body. However, Xiaomu sat steadily without any sign of hostility. Natsuki took a sip of herbal tea. I am Natsuki Uchiha, don't you know that? Konan scattered the flying papers with a cold expression. How do you know about Juzuk? Seeing that Xiaonan didn't drink herbal tea, he poured the cup he poured into Xiaonan's cup back into his own cup. We can't waste it in the kingdom of wind, and Xiaonan didn't drink it anyway. Xiaomu didn't answer Xiaonan's question. I have a real question. If you can answer me, not only can I join Xiao, but I can also give you the secret recipe of Chinese cuisine. Whether you answer or not, I will tell you why I know Wei Tuatian Juju. Xiaonan's mind was no longer on recruiting Xiaomu, but was staring at Xiaomu very seriously. He replied, okay. Just ask. Xiaonan has always been very concerned about the death of Wei Tuatian Jusuk and others, not only because Jayasuk confessed to him, but because she, Jayasuk, died when she was kidnapped. She felt that she must have killed them. Natsuki said word for word. Why did you and Nagato work with Zetsu and the masked man who killed Juzuk, Daibutsu and other companions? Why didn't you kill them to avenge Juzuk and Daibutsu? When Xiaonan heard this, he was struck by thunder. What? They killed Juzuk and Daibutsu. Where did you get the news? Xiaomu sneered. Ah, you idiot, you don't know that the enemy who kills your friends and enemies is right next to you, and you still plot big plans with them every day. When you were kidnapped, Nagato and Yahiko went to rescue you. Kyusuk received intelligence and judged that Yahiko would be in danger, so he summoned his companions to rescue Yahiko, but he was intercepted by Zetsu and the masked man on the way. In the end, Jayasuk and Daibutsu teamed up to use secret techniques, hoping to use their own lives to eradicate the masked man and protect you. What a pity. In the end, Yusuke turned into concrete, with his eyes open. It can be said that he died with his eyes open. After listening to Natsuki's words, Konan's entire chakra began to become confused, because Konan knew that Hadasuk's secret technique was to spit out cement, which was Hadasuk's secret. It's a pity that the person he spent his life trying to protect ended up working with his enemy. Ha 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 ha. Natsuki's tone was full of sarcasm, and also showed disdain for Juzuk. Xiaonan couldn't stand still, and she shook her head vigorously. No. Why would he do this? Xiaomu mocked. Have you forgotten the first time he met you and how he invited you? If Yahiko were here, would Nagato cooperate with them? Nagato would have already joined them by then. It's because of Yahiko's existence that they want to stop Jayasuk and Daibutsu from supporting you. Because they need Nagato to fall into darkness, they want Yahiko to die. Xiaonan recalled the first time she saw the masked man, what he said to Nagato at that time. She had gradually believed what Xiaomu said. Isn't Nagato just following his wishes now? But how did Xiaomu know so clearly? Natsuki threw a scroll to Konan. Xiaonan subconsciously took it. The name of this technique is Pure Land Reincarnation. It is a forbidden technique invented by the second Hokage Senju Tobirama. This technique can summon the soul of a long-dead ninja back to the world and resurrect it in a physical form. The bodies of Juzuki or Daibutsu can be found. If you find a living person as a sacrifice, you can ask Juzuki or Daibutsu yourself whether what I said is true. Of course, if you miss Yahiko, you can also resurrect Yahiko. Resurrection of the dead. Conan was horrified. Does Konoha actually have such a terrifying technique? But she has no time to take care of much now. She needs to verify immediately whether what Natsuki said is true or false, and whether it is really possible to resurrect Jayasuke and Yahiko. Why did you do this? Shaonan was 80% convinced now. Natsuki poured another cup of herbal tea. That's because the person pretending to be Madara Uchiha is the person who started the Nine Tails Rebellion in Konoha. He made our Uchiha family suffer a lot of misunderstandings and glares. The whole family almost died miserably because of him. He wanted to be a conspirator behind his back and dream. I'm going to make him pay. Xiaomu slapped the table hard, causing both cups to jump, because the Nine Tails Rebellion happened in Konoha. Konoha also blocked the news, and there was not much information that outsiders could know. All Shaonan knew was that a lot of people died in Konoha, including the fourth Hokage. Then do you know his identity? That at this time, Shaonan also took the teapot, poured a cup of herbal tea into her own cup and drank it in one gulp. A refreshing stream of water fell down her stomach. It made Xiaonan's whole body feel cooler. Xiaomu saw Shaonan pouring water and smiled, because this meant that Shaonan had begun to trust him. He's just a chess piece. Let me see. Oh, it's here. Xiaomu found a scroll among a pile of seals, and then unsealed the contents. Inside the sealed scroll is a pile of scrolls with written words. Xiaomu was picky and picky. Look at this on the road. Go back and discuss it with Nagato. Although you can't kill him with your hands, you can still try. I won't talk to you anymore because I have something else to do. Next time I ask Nagato to come to me directly, I will tell him more. If you want to find me, you can go to the Sound Ninja Village. If I'm not here, just ask Itachi to bring me a message. Conan opened the scroll, and there was a portrait of a masked man on it. His introduction was astonishingly below. Obito Uchiha was seriously injured at Kanabi Bridge. He was rescued by Madara Uchiha and became the spokesperson of his will. He has the power of the Manjikyu Sharingan. Xiaomu put away the tables, chairs, teapots and put them into the storage scroll, then walked toward Sunagakure village. Conan quickly scanned the scroll and finally understood why Natsuki said he couldn't kill Obito. At this time Xiaomu's voice came from far away. People reincarnated from dirty soil will not be active for too long, not for a long time. Use this technique with caution. Taking Natsuki's earth reincarnation and the scroll introducing Obito, Conan immediately transformed her wings and quickly flew into the air. Damn Uchiha Obito, disgusting conspirator. Chapter 62 Sneak Attack on Luo Sha. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Obito is also a pathetic person, it does not prevent Natsuki from hating him. At a young age, he was brainwashed by Madara and completely abandoned the self that once cherished his friends, was kind, loving, optimistic and lively. If Lin dies, he will let the entire ninja world be buried with him. If you need the power of the Samsara Eye, you can stop Hatasuke Daibutsu from rescuing Yahiko and let Nagato turn black. If you need to weaken Konoha and regain the Kyuubi, release the Kyuubi. While Kushina is giving birth and the seal is weak, he completely ignored his master and his wife, and the civilians of Konoha were so innocent, in need of funds and talents. He used the Sharingan to control the fourth-generation Mizukage Goju Yagura and implement tyranny in Kirigakure. While making money, he also eliminates all those who threaten his plan. As well as those who could threaten the status of the fourth Mizukage, they took crazy revenge on Kirigakure, and countless blood successor. Families in the Kingdom of Water were wiped out as a result. As for how many people died in the Fourth Ninja World War, not to mention, countless families were broken up as a result, so Obito's crimes are simply too numerous to describe. Although Obito is also Madara's chess piece, and there will be other chess pieces without him, this does not excuse his innocence. Kakashi was merciless in the Kamui space, which made Natsuki very unhappy. He was really a white-eyed wolf, and he didn't even remember the death of his master and his wife. How much Sharingan has Madara accumulated over the years, and how much is left for Obito? Being able to kill Obito one more time and destroy his Sharingan is probably a good thing. Being able to add more obstacles to Obito will make Xiaomu extremely comfortable, and when he has the ability, he must crush this disgusting bug to death. Xiaomu continued to walk under the scorching sunshine. There were few things to identify the direction in the desert. It is easy to deviate from the direction while walking. Natsuki has to take out a compass from time to time to tell whether he has deviated from the direction, but Xiaomu was embarrassed to find that he walked to a place with a strong magnetic field, which meant that his compass failed. Xiaomu scratched his head, and after walking for a while, he prepared to insert a stick and use the shadow of the sun to locate it. At this time, a violent chakra fluctuation came from the distance, and the ground trembled slightly. Natsuki's expression changed slightly, and he walked quickly in the direction of the source of chakra. After climbing over a sand dune, the scene in the distance made Natsuki sigh in surprise. What is most abundant in the desert is, of course, sand. There are many most spectacular things in nature, but tornadoes must be at the top of the list. When a tornado appears in the desert, the sky is full of yellow sand, and the sky is as gloomy as splashed ink. A huge tornado was spinning in front, covering the sky and the sun. And this tornado was actually man-made. The man is flying in the air with his hands open, but in the cloudless sky there is a violently rotating funnel-shaped sand pillar. The sand on the ground is constantly sucked up by the tornado and thrown out again and again. After the sand tornado swept away the sand on the ground, it began to move according to his hands. After careful observation, I also found that from time to time, shiny things flew out of the tornado and fell far away. Natsuki opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, and the scenery in the distance became clearer and clearer. He zoomed in and found that what flew out was actually sand gold. The flying gold placer has piled up into a dirt bag. Wow, it's so easy to make money. Natsuki sighed. He already knew the identity of the other party, the fourth Kazekage Raza. Also known as the Desert Gold Rush Master. Xiaomu watched from a distance for a while, and then was discovered by Luo Sha. After all, it is quite obvious that there is a person standing in this yellow sand sky. Who are you? Luo Sha withdrew his hands, and the rotating scroll suddenly exploded and fell down like a waterfall, stirring up dust all over the sky. Luo Sha immediately took out the sealing scroll and put the placer gold in it first. It's not that I'm afraid that the other party will come to snatch it, but I'm afraid that if the other party is an enemy rather than a friend, the placer gold will be knocked away and I will have to work hard to find it again. Raza is very confident in his own strength. Although he has consumed a lot of chakra now, the desert is his home ground and he can easily suppress even Shikaku. That's why he didn't take anyone else with him when he went out to hunt for gold, because when others came, they could only watch from the side. Natsuki took off the bamboo hat, then took out the Konoha forehead protector and put it on. I am a ninja from Konoha. Xiaomu shouted loudly. There is no way, there is no distance reference here. They are actually separated by a sand dune. Luo Sha was a little speechless. You just took out this forehead protector. Why don't you do it so perfunctorily? However, he still stepped on the clouds made of sand and flew over. Shemu looked at him with envy, jealousy and hatred. Another one who could fly. Luo Sha quickly flew in front of Xiaomu, and the sand ball dispersed and fell down. Who are you? Xiaomu took off the forehead protector and looked at it. It was correct. I'm from Konoha, didn't I tell you? Luo Sha frowned and said nothing. Xiaomu seemed to suddenly realize. Oh, I'm an Uchiha. If you don't believe it, look, I have the Sharingan. Natsuki's eyes directly turned into the three Magatama Sharingan, and Raza looked at it subconsciously. The three Magatama's Sharingan instantly turned into a windmill and started spinning. Tsukiyomi. Natsuki finally put this Itachi skill to use. There will be no consumption when using the system's one-time ninjutsu, but since it is a kaleidoscope pupil technique, Natsuki can inject pupil power into it to increase its power. What? Almost in an instant, Luo Sha's consciousness fell into darkness. Konoha underground. What's the experimental data like? Danzo's right eye was covered as usual, but his right arm and right shoulder were no longer bandaged. The exposed arms are no different from those of ordinary people. There was no crutch beside him. Sir, after testing, the activity of your arm has increased 6 times without using wood release, which is far more than that of your left hand. Danzo shook hands vigorously. Drink. The right arm suddenly changed from normal skin color to pale, and then suddenly stretched out, transforming into a huge branch and splitting out. There was a loud boom, sweeping the boulder in front of it into pieces. Danzo pulled his hand back and retracted his arm, returning to its normal state. Danzo covered his arm. The chakra consumed just now was not small. From the wall next to him, a figure with a separate aloe leaf suddenly emerged. It was Zetsu. Why is it so expensive? Danzo seemed to have become accustomed to the other party's elusiveness. Hashirama's cells have just started to fuse into your body from the previous grafting. It will take some time to become proficient in using wood release. You'd better be telling the truth. Danzo snorted coldly. Don't worry, since I found you to cooperate, it's all about getting what you need. We provide funds, and you provide us with information. Jueyu said with a frivolous tone. Danzo narrowed one eye slightly. I've given you the news about Uchiha Natsuki leaving the village a long time ago. Why haven't you caught him yet? Ju said. Something went wrong, and someone else intervened. That's your business. The information has been provided to you. It will be good for us to catch Shimu as soon as possible. Uchiha Natsuki is not that easy to catch. I will come again when I have news. The Uchiha clan today is not what it used to be. Perhaps, you can discuss with the third generation how to suppress the development of Uchiha. Ju said as he slowly sank into the wall. It's like it's never been here. Danzo glanced at the root members below. The root member raised his fingers, and an invisible wave swept out. My lord, he has left. Danzo's face was a little gloomy. This way of coming and going without a trace made him feel as uncomfortable as if he had been stripped naked and thrown into the sun. The disbandment of the roots not only caused Danzo to lose the base and the experimental equipment inside, the biggest blow is the rupture of the capital chain. In the past, Konoha would have dedicated funds to its roots. Sometimes the roots will also take over some families' dirty work and obtain financial support from some families. However, after Sandai announced the disbandment of Genbu, many families did not dare to touch Sandai's bad luck and stopped cooperating with Genbu. Although the staff at Roots are still there, they have no money. When Danzo was worried about this, Zei suddenly appeared and injected a lot of funds into the Roots. He also helped develop Hashirama's cells. Although Danzo's arm no longer has the Sharingan, but with the further fusion of Hashirama's cells, his strength even went further. In the past, the Sharingan needed to be transplanted on the arm to suppress Hashirama cells, but now it can be removed. I never thought that I would one day cooperate with the Akatsuki organization. The Akatsuki organization now actually has factions. Exhaling slowly, Danzo looked at his normal right hand and walked outside. Chapter 63 Luo Sha's Dream. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Well. Luo Sha rubbed her sleepy eyes and woke up, then he jumped off the bed. At the age of 6, he was less than 1 meter tall and was already his master's right-hand man. His master is a famous potter in the village, and the pottery he makes is exquisite and durable. Today is the day for him to become a master. If Luo Sha makes a work that suits his master's wishes, he can become a master. Luo Sha quickly put on her clothes, picked up materials and tools, and went to the pottery room. Master is observing various porcelain in the room. Seeing Luo Sha coming, the master just said calmly, "Let's get started." Luo Sha was full of confidence and completed the process from mixing clay, kneading clay, making clay base, applying glaze and calcining in one go. The movements were smooth and flowing, very skillful, and all the scenes flashed by like a fast forward. And it was already several days later. Luo Sha took out the pottery that had been fired and handed it to the master. The master's face was hidden in the shadows. He took it over and examined it before pushing him off the table. It collapsed, and the pottery made a muffled sound. Luo Sha shook his hands. Good. Passed the test. The master picked up the pottery again, put it on the second level of the shelf, and pushed it down. There was another muffled sound. The pottery was only scratched on the ears but not broken. Not waiting for Luo Sha to have a new expression, the master picked up the pottery again, put it on the third shelf and pushed it down. Alas, there was no accident this time. The pottery was smashed into a pile of fragments. The master said calmly, "Failed." Do it again. Luo Sha was full of grievances. How could the pottery be placed so high and fall without breaking, but the master's words were the truth. Luo Sha wiped her red eyes and started making again. A few days passed from the initial steps. Luo Sha completed the new pottery, but the master just threw it into the sky. Clang! The pottery was broken again. Failed product. Make it again. A cold voice came. Luo Sha had to make it again. Images kept flashing by. No matter how good or strong the rosa was, the master would find a way to break the pottery, first by throwing it to the ground, use a hammer to hit it, use ninjutsu to hit it, until the pottery is broken, and then the master will throw it to Luo Sha. Failure. Do it again. In the end, Luo Sha simply made a solid pottery for the master. Unexpectedly, the master threw the pottery directly into the furnace, still the same sentence, failure. Luo Sha collapsed and cried, why does it not work no matter what I do? The master raised his head and his face gradually changed into that of Luo Sha, while little Luo Sha turned into a child with the word love carved on his head. Because I don't believe you in the first place. No matter how good your work is, it's useless. Ah! Little Raza, Gaara, knelt on the ground in pain. Luo Sha opened his eyes suddenly and found that he was still in the desert, and opposite him was the Uchiha clan member. Is it an illusion? Luo Sha felt a chill in her heart, as she was actually pulled into the environment in an instant. It took a lot of chakra to break free from the genjutsu, and Luo Sha was a little shaky. Hateful. Luo Sha didn't dare to look into the other person's eyes, but saw the corners of the other person's mouth turning down, as if he was dissatisfied. Luo Sha slapped her hands on the ground. Magnetic escape, gold dust burial. After the magnetic escape chakra was poured into the countless yellow sand on the ground, it turned golden and flowed like water, then the ground collapsed, and the opponent fell in instantly. Luo Sha frantically poured chakra into the ground. The sand on the ground collapsed crazily, and pieces of sand shrank downwards, but Luo Sha could feel that the other party was fine. Boom! The compacted sand exploded, and a huge golden skeleton rose from the ground. Then the skeleton was attached to flesh and blood, the chakra formed into armor, and a long knife was transformed into the waist. The surging chakra violently rushed out, and the golden Susanoo walked out of the sand with boundless power, as if a god descended from the sky. Luo Sha jumped onto the sand pad and flew into the sky, pulled out the seal scroll and slapped it on it. Pull! Countless golden sand sprinkled down from the sky like waterfalls. Drink! Luo Sha clasped his hands together, and all the placer gold sprinkled in the air buzzed and vibrated, and then quickly joined together, forming a huge cube, shining golden light in the dazzling sunlight. Raza waved her hand, and the huge cube violently hit Natsuki's Susan. Snort. No matter who you are dead today. This placer gold cube is so hard that even Shikaku cannot break it. I will let you die under the cube. Natsuki stood in Susanoo's body, a little annoyed that the Tsukiyomi words in his system had disappeared, but my construction of the world of Tsukiyomi just now was not very good. On the basis of the original Tsukiyomi, I added a lot of eye power, but it did not last long. Sure enough, he was not talented in illusions. Unlike Itachi, in the original world, Izumi could have lived a lifetime in Tsukiyomi. Since the soft one is not enough, let's do the hard one. Natsuki whipped out Susanoo's weapon and injected chakra and eye power into it. The blade began to buzz and vibrate. Susanoo pulled out the knife fiercely, and a shadow seemed to be attached to it. The blade transformed by chakra struck the gold cube with a gleam of cold light. Like tofu, the placer gold cube split into two halves and flew out. The two halves of the placer gold cube hit the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Luo Sha's eyes suddenly shrank. It was actually cut into two pieces. How could it be so sharp? The placer gold aggregated with chakra has incomparable hardness. Usually Luo Sha fights with the placer gold cube, and the opponent can only dodge it. Today, he was actually fought in two. This is the golden Susanoo. You are Natsuki Uchiha. Raza said in disbelief. Do you want to start a war? Raza had a serious look on his face. He had heard about the reputation of the Manjikyu Sharingan for a long time. Kurabi of Kumogakure was said to have failed to follow a single move. Natsuki didn't answer, but Susanoo raised the sword in his hand, Susanna stepped on the ground, and the high-speed blast brought yellow sand all over the sky. Luo Sha's sand pad was not very fast, and the two of them were approaching quickly. Luo Sha waved his hands, and the placer gold that was divided into two pieces in the distance automatically exploded and flew into the air. Magnetic escape, placer gold Shigure. What? Raza clasped her hands together, and the placer gold in the sky hit Susanoo like a heavy rain. Kick, glare. The voice was dull, and the armor on Susanoo's body was peeled off by sand Shigure, but Natsuki inside was unscathed. Ha! Natsuki exhaled slowly, and pressed her eyes again. With the participation of the chakra of the Uzumaki clan, Natsuki's Susanoo quickly returned to its previous appearance. Luo Sha gasped violently. Luo Sha chakra was already dissatisfied, but was attacked by another illusion. The placer gold cube that was full of confidence was actually broken. Such a large amount of placer gold Shigure actually broke a layer of skin. Luo Sha's chakra has almost bottomed out. Seeing Susanoo who was still walking towards him, Raza looked desperate. How to fight this? Chapter 64 In the Name of Love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Susanoo reached out and grabbed Raza, and with a gentle squeeze, Raza turned into a pile of gravel, sand clone. Natsuki dispersed Susanoo, his two Sharingan eyes turning at high speed. In an instant, he discovered the chakra reaction under the sand in the distance. Natsuki stepped on his feet, waved and threw out 3 kunai, which were inserted into the sand in front of him. Hiss, hiss, the detonating talisman burned. Boom. 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 Luo Sha was blown out of the sand in a somewhat embarrassed state. Xia Mu jumped up suddenly and hit Luo Sha on the chest with a palm. A huge sealing technique spread to Luo Sha's body. Sealing technique. Luo Sha was shocked. You sealed my chakra. Gravel continued to fall from Luo Sha's face, but this time it's not Sand's clone, but Luo San's last line of defense, the sand armor. Xia Mu patted the dust on his body and exhaled. The amount of chakra is still very sufficient, which is worthy of the characteristics of the Uzumaki clan. Raza, this is the first time we meet. I am Natsuki Uchiha. Luo Sha's face turned gloomy. I know you are Natsuki Uchiha, what exactly do you want to do? Didn't you Uchiha leave Konoha independently? Why did you come to the Kingdom of Wind to cause trouble for us Sunigakure? Let me think about it. Xia Mu took out another scroll from his body, took out a 4-piece desert travel set, table, chair, umbrella and herbal tea, poured out a cup and took a sip. I want to ask you, why didn't you strengthen the seal? Because you were afraid that the tailed beast would go berserk, but instead repeatedly provoked Gaara. How do you know that the Jinchuriki of our village is Gaara? Raza's eyes widened in anger, shocked and angry. Although this is not a secret in this village, every outsider knows it and can accurately name it. Xia Mu knocked his head. He really had no interrogation skills at all. You are a prisoner now, so answer my questions honestly. Luo Sha snorted. No comment. Natsuki frowned. Since you don't believe that your son can seal the one tail, why don't you become a Jinchuriki yourself? Luo Sha turned his head away. He no longer wanted to talk to this madman. Are all Uchiha so neurotic? As the Kazekage of the village, I am a Jinchuriki. If I go berserk, what will happen to the village? Besides, it wasn't my idea for Gaara to become a Jinchuriki. Seeing that Raza was not cooperating, Natsuki could only shrug. I guess you are thinking that you are the shadow of a village. You are afraid that you will become a Jinchuriki and run away. No one will care about the village, right? Then you don't believe in yourself, but you insist on sealing Shikaku into your son's body, and then continue to test him. Is there something wrong with your mind? Luo Sha was shocked, but she recalled his days in the illusion. Luo Sha pursed her lips twice but said nothing, but Shirshimu lost his patience, grabbed Luo Sha, held his head, and opened his eyelids. The Sharingan in Natsuki's eyes rotated crazily, and his eyes were filled with scarlet red. Sand-hidden village. An alcoholic walked forward holding a bottle of wine. He passed by a red-haired child. The drunkard stumbled and almost fell. The drunkard burped, "Be careful when you walk. You little brat." The red-haired child slowly turned his head. The cold, dead eyes, and the thick dark circles under his eyes, the drunkard suddenly broke into a cold sweat and his eyes widened. You are. Here it comes again, that look again. Gaara's expression was full of hatred, all that came to mind were images of being bullied and disgusted. Get out of here. You monster. Why? Gaara's eyes gradually became bloodshot. Ah! There was a shrill scream, and the wine bottle fell to the ground and smashed into pieces. Hearing the screams, a group of people ran out, but I only saw Gaara's back. What happened? It's Gaara. He is dead. The matter was quickly reported to the senior management of Sunigakure. The fourth Kazekage left an order. If Gaara goes berserk again, kill him. Yashimaru's eyes were full of pain, but this is not the first time Gaara has killed someone. Sunigakure village has been successively cut off by the daimyo of the Land of Wind. If this news about Gaara spreads, the situation in that village will be even worse. In this case, let me bear all this. Yashimaru made a decision and stood up. The result is still not smooth at all. Gaara sat on the railing, looking at his hands in distress and helplessness. I couldn't help but shed tears. Why am I the only one who would become such a monster? What am I? What Yashimaru said to him suddenly came to Gaara's mind. The cure for psychological trauma is love. Yakushimaru. Gaara cried and held his stomach in pain. He had no idea that 6 kunai were flying behind him. Puff. A large amount of sand burst out from Gaara's back, firmly protecting Gaara inside. Gaara was startled, turned his head, and found a sand ninja with his face covered, and he threw countless kunai. Why me again? Gaara's expression gradually became ferocious, like this every time. It happens every time. Gaara stretched out his hand, and sand quickly wrapped the person who came. Seeing that this person was about to die at the hands of Gaara, a black shadow in the sky knocked away the sand and directly pulled the Sunigakure away. Asshole. Gaara's expression was ferocious, his little hands opened, and the sand gradually accelerated and flew forward. When he caught up with him, he was kicked away by the black figure. After just a few ups and downs, the two of them disappeared without a trace. Gaara squatted on the ground with a painful expression. He didn't have much chakra at his young age. Now I only feel the tearing pain in my body. Who wants to kill me? Suddenly a figure appeared in front of Gaara in an instant. Gaara looked up, only to find it was Yashimaru. Yashimaru's clothes were brand new and he had a mixed expression on his face, and he suddenly held Gaara in his arms. Gaara's heart instantly calmed down. Yashimaru, a man dressed as a sand ninja tried to kill me just now. Gaara's small body trembled slightly. Yashimaru's expression turned sour, and he murmured, I'm sorry, it's okay, it's okay. Gaara cried and said, is it because I am a monster, so there are always people who want to kill me? Yashimaru gently stroked Gaara's head, don't think so, Gaara, there are still people in this world who love you. Master Kazekage and I have always loved you deep in our hearts. My favorite sister sacrificed her life for you. You are the continuation of my sister's life. You are the most precious treasure in the world. I like you very, very much. My sister loved you deeply when she gave birth to you. Since then, my heart has always wanted to be by your side and watch you grow up. My sister named you Gaara, just in the name of love, so that you can cherish yourself and live well. When Yashimaru ordered Raza to kill Gaara, Yashimaru was worried that his deceased sister Garura would not agree to this, and after getting along with him for these years, Yashimaru knew that Gaara's irritability was due to Shikaku's influence, and he was very kind. He endured the pain and came to assassinate Gaara tonight, but unexpectedly, he was rescued by Raza in the end, and said that Gaara had other methods and there was no need to test Gaara anymore. Yashimaru almost said goodbye to Gaara forever. After a trip to the gate of hell, he was so excited that he hugged Gaara and didn't want to let go. Gaara felt Yashimaru's care and cried out, but this time it wasn't cries of pain, but tears of happiness. Chapter 65 Father Loves You Too. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the distance, Xiaomu and Luo Sha were standing upstairs. Raza's limbs were a little stiff, but she stared at Yashimaru and Gaara in the distance. Natsuki opened his Sharingan, and the kaleidoscope in his eyes kept turning. Seeing the scene in the distance, I breathed a sigh of relief and controlled Luo Sha to fly over on a sand cushion. Tap, tap. I heard footsteps. Gaara raised his head and found his father, Raza. With a cold face, Gaara lowered his head again and shrank a little deeper into Yashimaru's arms. Raza squatted down uncharacteristically, then pulled Gaara into his arms. I'm sorry, Gaara. Gaara was shocked, and then he broke away from Luo Sha's arms. Dad, what did you say? Raza stood there and whispered, it was not my intention to make you a Jinchuriki. What is Jinchuriki? Gaara had just been calmed down by Yashimaru's love and could speak a little calmly. Natsuki, who was standing in the distance, rolled his eyes. What kind of education is there in Sunagakure village? Gaara is 6 or 7 years old and doesn't even know what a Jinchuriki is. No wonder he endured so much hardship as a child and was not even taught the knowledge of Jinchuriki. How did Gaara endure it for so many years? Oh, it seems like Naruto didn't know that when he was a child. No wonder they became close friends later on. However, Gaara's seal is much worse than Naruto's. Although the Nine-Tails chakra can affect Naruto, when he was a child, Naruto never knew that there was a tailed beast inside him, and Gaara was easily influenced by Shikaku's mind. If he accidentally fell asleep, Shikaku would come out and kill people randomly, so Gaara always thought he was a monster. The Jinchuriki is the one who seals the tailed beasts, and you are the Jinchuriki of the one-tailed Shikaku. Gaara grabbed his clothes. Is the monster inside me called Shikaku? Why me, Dad? Luo Sha nodded, because I am Feng and I need to protect the village. And you, Gaara, my favorite child, you are the best among all your brothers. Only you can control Shikaku's power. So I chose you. Gaara held his head, as if he was hearing hallucinations. Just now his father said that I was his favorite child, and I was the best. Then why did father? Gaara was filled with questions, expectations, and fear that his father would lie to him. Luo Sha continued to rub Gaara's head, preventing Gaara from seeing the look in his eyes. The village is in danger at any time. If I show my optimism for you all the time, you will be even more in danger. I'm sorry, Gaara, can you forgive Dad? Luo Sha held Gaara in her arms again. Gaara felt this unfamiliar warmth and murmured, Dad, I don't blame you. It's my fault. I couldn't control Shikaku and killed many people. A look flashed in Luo Sha's eyes. It doesn't matter, that's Shikaku's problem. I went out and invited people from Konoha this time to help strengthen the seal. You won't be in so much pain in the future. Really? Dad? Gaara was pleasantly surprised. Gaara really wanted to sleep, but Shikaku would come out and kill people when he fell asleep, and he hadn't slept in years. Luo Sha nodded, yes. Yashimaru next to him was also very happy when he saw Raza and Gaara reconcile. Hearing Raza's words made Gaara even happier. Master Kazekage, when will the people from Konoha arrive? Luo Sha stood up and looked behind her. I've already arrived. Natsuki walked out of the darkness, and the Sharingan in his eyes gradually stopped rotating and returned to normal eyes. Ding. Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Luo Sha's life trajectory. Congratulations to the host for getting Sand Gold, Sandpad X1. Xiaomu felt happy that she could fly, even though she could only fly once. No, it seems there is a loophole that can be exploited. Luo Sha was shocked, and then took a deep look at Xiaomu. He turned around and pulled Gaara, and ordered Yashimaru, go and prepare the materials for the sealing technique. Remember, don't tell anyone else, you do it alone. Yashimaru was stunned for a moment, and then he saw Luo Sha winking at the sand wall in the distance. Up there is the senior advisor of Sunagakure village, and Chiyo and Ebizo are living in seclusion in that direction. It was Chiyo who insisted on making Gaara a Jinchuriki back then. Yes. I'll do it right away, but there are also rights to fight in Sunagakure village. It is best not to let Chiyo know about this kind of thing. In the secret room of Sand Hidden Village, there are a large number of umbu guarding the outside. The entire secret room was surrounded and no information was allowed to be revealed. Yashimaru has already prepared the materials related to the sealing technique. Gaara, who received his father's attention for the first time, kept holding on to Raza's clothes tightly. It seems that as soon as you let go, all these will dissipate, Raza. glanced at Natsuki with complicated eyes and touched Gaara's head. Having been practicing the sealing technique for more than a year, Natsuki is already very familiar with the 4 seals of the Hokage series. The 4-symbol seal is not a seal, but a series of sealing techniques, from the lowest level of blocking psychic beasts, to sealing chakra, to sealing tailed beasts, and finally to sealing dragon veins for 4 generations. They all use the 4-image seal. Every village specializes in sealing arts, but there are very few ninjas who specialize in sealing arts. Practicing sealing requires a lot of time and energy, as well as a huge amount of chakra. It also depends on talent. If you don't have enough talent, a lot of time will be wasted in the early stage. It was all during the 3rd Ninja War before, and no one had so much time to waste. After all, the sealing technique has little combat effectiveness in the early stage and can only be used as auxiliary personnel. People with huge chakras are in important positions and have no time to practice sealing techniques. In the current ninja world, the research on sealing techniques has completely regressed, and even the sealing techniques in many ninja villages have been lost, or there are documents that have not been passed down to others. There used to be a country of whirlpools that was proficient in using various sealing techniques and could be used in various battles. Because Shuda Zhaofeng has been destroyed, after Natsuki obtained the chakra of the Uzumaki clan, Natsuki discovered that apart from the increase in chakra to chakra, the only thing left was to become more familiar with the sealing technique. Now it is very easy to perform the sealing technique. However, sealing the tailed beast requires a larger magic circle to catalyze it. And all the materials Yashimaru brought over were quite qualified. Natsuki drew a huge 4-image array on the ground and asked Gaara to stand in the middle. Gaara looked timid, a little scared, but also a little expectant. Master Kazekage, do you want to see Gaara's inner world? Xiaomu suddenly asked. Luo Sha, who was standing next to him with his hands on his chest, was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and then nodded slowly. If you can. Natsuki asked Raza to come over, and then put her hand on Gaara's head. With his father by his side, Gaara was noticeably less nervous. The body also leaned against Luo Sha. Xiaomu looked around and found that there was no problem with the array. Xiaomu stood still on his feet, then changed the hand seals on his hands, and the ink runes lit up from Xiaomu's hands. Natsuki put his hand on Gaara's head, and the runes gradually crawled up Gaara's body along his arms. Gaara was just a little scared at first, but then he felt relieved when he found that there was no special feeling when these runes crawled on his body. As the number of runes increased, the huge magic circle on the ground began to light up. For symbols seal. Open. Chapter 66 Strengthening the Seal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the sealing runes on the magic circle lit up, Gaara's eyelids sank and he passed out. Xiaomu and Luo Sha's eyes flashed and they entered another world. Damn it! Huge roars instantly reached the ears of Xiaomu and Luo Sha. Where they were was a gray-black desert. The whole sky was filled with dark clouds, and the wind and sand were flying randomly like knives. The whole world was dyed into deathly silence. There were no creatures in the desert, but in the distance there was a huge black shadow 50 meters high roaring crazily. The voice was shrill and crazy. I will go out. I will go out. Shikaku didn't repeat many words back and forth, and he seemed to be out of his mind at first glance, but he never stopped, and kept roaring. The sound was so loud that Luo Sha felt his ears ringing, which was very uncomfortable. Natsuki searched around and saw Gaara hiding under a semicircular dirt bag in the distance, covering his ears tightly. The earthen bag was like a fortress, wrapping Gaara, and Yashimaru's face could be vaguely seen on it. Raza's expression turned ugly. Does Gaara usually live like this? Xiaomu said. Yes. Gaara trapped himself in the fortress of gravel. No one can get in, and he can't get out. There was some sarcasm on Natsuki's lips. I wonder if you, the 4th generation Kazekage, can always remain calm in this environment. Luo Sha's face turned even more ugly. Her fists were clenched so tightly that her nails were dug into her flesh. What should we do now? Luo Sha asked. Natsuki raised his chin and pointed at Gaara. Go and comfort your son first. We need to face Shikaku head-on. Raza walked over as she was told, and Gaara saw Raza coming over. With hope shining in his eyes, he quickly grabbed Luo Sha with 2 small hands. Dad, are you here to save me? Luo Sha touched Gaara's head with some pity. It's okay, Gaara, I'm here. Gaara nodded blankly, then tears filled his eyes. The sand castle behind Gaara gradually grew larger and became a huge sand wall. Luo Sha's head gradually appeared on the sand wall. Gaara quickly fell asleep in Raza's arms. Raza gently put down Gaara, stood up slowly, and looked at Shikaku, who was roaring crazily in the distance, with cold eyes. Mr. Natsuki, do you need to defeat Shikaku next? Hey, this is the first time Luo Sha calls Xiaomu. Natsuki waved his hand in a funny way. This is Gaara's spiritual world. This place is already bad enough, but you still want to demolish it. Luo Sha, who was a little ready to make a move, calmed down. Leave the rest to me. Natsuki stopped talking nonsense and let Raza know what kind of life Gaara was living, and Natsuki's goal was achieved. Natsuki put his hands together. Drink. For Symbol's seal. Get up. On the ground covered with yellow sand, countless ink-colored sealing techniques appeared. If you look down from the sky, you can see that the entire ground spell forms a huge 4-image array. The fingerprints on Xiaomu's hands changed. Congeal. All the ink-colored spells quickly shrunk. It quickly spread from Shikaku's ground to Shikaku's body. What's this? Shikaku yelled in panic. One after another, the technique quickly covered Shikaku's body. Shikaku only felt an indescribable sense of suffocation. The wind and sand in the sky are gradually disappearing, slowly turning into a clear day. Shikaku also discovered Natsuki, who was casting a spell. You are from Uchiha. Let me go. Otherwise, I will make you look good. Practice blank ammunition. Shikaku opened his mouth wide and let out a deafening roar, but he found that the chakra wind ball that was supposed to be fired in his mouth did not appear. Shikaku just opened his mouth and let out a breath. What's going on? Shikaku was shocked. Why couldn't he use the blank ammunition anymore? Natsuki's sealing technique increased again, the ink-colored sealing technique increased again, and Shikaku's body was restrained layer by layer. The body also began to shrink, from a height of 50 meters to about 5 meters. A whole 10 times smaller. Boom. 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 The ink seals on the ground turned into thick walls. A large building in the style of 4 zojirushi was formed on the entire sand, shutting the entire Shikaku inside. Only a hole the size of a wash basin was left. Ren Shuha crashed inside and the whole building didn't move at all. Gaara himself has a seal on his body. Natsuki only needs to cast the 4 symbols seal. No need for the Bagua seal. Xiaomu came to Luo Sha. Shaking Gaara, Gaara opened his eyes, seeing Raza and Natsuki in front of him. Gaara felt a little more at ease. Shikaku's irritable voice could still be heard in the distance. Damn Uchiha. Let me out. I am going to kill you all. Kill them all. Natsuki stretched out a hand and motioned for Gaara to take it. Want to know how to become a qualified Jinchuriki? Gaara looked back at Raza, who looked encouraging. Gaara put his hand on Natsuki's hand a little uneasily. Natsuki took Gaara's little hand and kept walking forward, moving forward, until Shikaku got closer and closer, and Shikaku's roar became louder and louder. Suddenly Gaara broke away from Natsuki's hand, turned around and ran back. Luo Sha, who was behind him, hugged him gently. Don't be afraid, kid, Daddy will always be behind you. Gaara gradually calmed down, turned around, and his eyes gradually became firmer. When Gaara arrived in front of the box-like building, he realized that Shikaku was inside. And no matter how loud Shikaku roared or how violent the impact, the entire building remained motionless. There was only a huge sound coming from the small hole. Natsuki knelt down and said to Gaara, "Your mother Gaara has always loved you deeply, and she turned into a spirit after her death and has been protecting you with sand. You can try sanding the window now." "Tsunako, is mother protecting me?" Gaara looked down at his hands, and then raised them slightly. The yellow sand on the ground gradually flew up. Gaara's eyes gradually brightened. Really, really. Natsuki pointed at the small hole intentionally left. As a qualified Jinchuriki, you need to be able to control the tailed beast. This Shikaku talks so much nonsense. If you don't want to listen to him, just plug this hole with sand. Gaara looked at the flying sand with a happy face, and then nodded, waving his little hand. The flying sand gradually gathered into the small hole. In just a moment, the small hole was completely blocked. Shikaku, who was sealed inside, immediately panicked. What are you doing? Damn it. It's so dark in here. Let me out. Let me out. Speak quickly and let me out. That what was originally a huge roar was now only faintly audible. Natsuki touched Gaara's head. Look, Shikaku has nothing to be afraid of. If he barks again next time, keep the entrance to the cave sealed. When will he become obedient? You can open the hole again. Okay. Gaara looked around happily. There was really no wind and sand, and there was really no harsh roar. With Gaara's laughter, Natsuki and Raza's eyes dazzled and they returned to the real world. Ding. Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Gaara's life trajectory. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Desert Layer Burial Seal X1. It seems useless. Is there any other wool that can be harvested in Sand Hidden Village? Oh, by the way, you can try it at Chiyo's place, but now is not the time. No matter how long the time in the spiritual world is, the real world is only a moment. Seeing that both of them opened their eyes, Yashimaru came over nervously and asked, Kazekage-sama, Natsuki-sama, how are you? Xiaomu and Luosha didn't speak. Gaara had already woken up. He shook his head from side to side. I can't hear it anymore. I really can't hear it anymore. There was a look of joy, happiness and tiredness on his face. Gaara leaned gently on Raza's legs and fell asleep as soon as his eyes closed. Yashimaru and the others felt like they were facing a formidable enemy. Raza waved her hand. It's okay, Yashimaru, Shikaku will not affect Gaara in the future. Yashimaru's face was full of surprise. That's great, Gaara can finally have a good sleep. Raza looked cherished. It had been a long time since Gaara had slept. Chapter 67 Nagato's Forbearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The land of rain, the rain ninja village. The light rain was falling, and the whole village was quiet for a while. Although this place is closed, the residents here seem to be much better than before. Every household hangs origami angels in front of the door. Now Xiaonan is also the nominal leader of the rain country. While providing stability, he is also deeply loved by the people of the rain country. Every time Xiaonan spreads her wings and flies across the sky, the people below will feel it is an honor to see the angel. Xiaonan looked bad today. Her wings flew across the sky, and quickly flew to a tall tower in the center of Ninja village. Xiaonan's figure turned into paper and then merged into the tower. After careful observation, she discovered that one side of the tower was entirely made of paper. Nagato opened his eyes dully. What's wrong? Why are you here looking for me? Nagata usually presents himself as Tiandao, while Konan usually talks to Tiandao. Now Xiaonan has come to his hiding place, which means Xiaonan must have something very important. Xiaonan calmed down her excited mood. Nagato, I already know who killed Jusuke and Daibutsu. Nagato's pupils shrank. Yahiko's death certainly made him heartbroken, but besides Yahiko's death, and their companions who had been in trouble together also died that day. In the past few years, Nagato and Xiaonan have been tracing who killed them back then, but the other party did it too cleanly. I can only detect traces of Mudoin, but I don't know anything else. Who is it? Nagato said in a deep voice. It's the masked man who calls himself Uchiha Madara every day, Kazuki. It's them. Where did the information come from? Is it reliable? Nagato naturally believed in Xiaonan, but he was worried that Xiaonan had been deceived. Konan whispered, Uchiha Natsuki told me. Uchiha Natsuki. Nagato said the name. This Uchiha deputy clan leader is also well known, and Xiaonan went there to recruit him before. Konan took out the 2 scrolls given by Natsuki. Nagato, Natsuki gave us this. This technique is called Earth Reincarnation. It can summon the soul of a long-dead ninja back to the human world and resurrect it in a physical form. Nagato shuddered and quickly pulled his hand out of the wooden cart, picked up the scroll and read it. You mean? Nagato said tremblingly. Konan nodded. We only need to prepare the sacrifices to summon Yahiko. But after Nagato read the scroll, he was a little disappointed. Can I only stay here for a short time? Xiaonan said. Natsume asked us to resurrect Jusuke and Daibutsu, so we can find out whether it was the masked man and Jueji who did it. Nagato nodded. Since he gave this technique to Konan, the people who did it were most likely those 2 people. It's indeed them. Xiaonan was surprised and said, Have you suspected them for a long time? Nagato said, their origins are unknown, and I don't trust them. I have suspicions, but there is no evidence. Nagato's eyes flashed with hatred. Why did they do that? Konan then relayed what Natsuki said to Nagato. Nagato calmed down, and there seemed to be waves in his eyes. Lead me into darkness. Nagato took a long breath. No. In the pain of infinite existence, I have grown beyond mortals and transformed from mortals to gods. Darkness cannot swallow me, and I will definitely bring true peace to this world. Nagato's tone was firm, possessing a determination that no one could shake. It's ridiculous, you still want to use God. Ahem. Nagato suddenly coughed. Xiaonan stepped forward worriedly. Calm down first, or your body won't be able to bear it. Huh. Nagato gasped twice, then slowly regained his breath. He has to endure the oppression of the heretic demons every day, and he also needs to control the 6 paths. His whole body has always been very weak, and his body's emotions fluctuate too much, which is very harmful to his body. No matter what their conspiracy is, it will be crushed under my eyes of reincarnation. Konan looked a little distressed when she saw Nagato. She didn't know what the end result would be after such a desperate move. Nagato said in a deep voice. What else does Uchiha Natsuki say? Konan unfolded another scroll. This is Madara's true identity and his Mangekyo Sharingan ability. Nagato took it over and took a look. Uchiha Obito, the virtualization, the Kamui space, lasted for several minutes, Izanagi. How come it's so detailed? Nagato was shocked. He was shocked by the so-called Madara's true identity and abilities. What was even more shocking was how Natsuki got such detailed information. You know, the most important thing for a ninja is his or her own intelligence. Protecting one's own intelligence is a compulsory course for every ninja. If you know yourself and your enemy, you can win almost any battle, and Natsuki's information basically revealed Obito's abilities, as if it were his own information. Over the years, Obito has been very mysterious and never abused his abilities. Nagato has always been wary of him, only knowing that he has a virtualization ability, but he had no idea how long the virtualization ability could last or what the principle of virtualization was, and more often than not, they have a cooperative relationship, and they can't be called true trust between each other. Over the past few years, Obito and Zetsu have been very obedient and worked very hard. Obito even used Sharingan to control the 4th generation of Mizuki Jikura in order to raise funds for the Akatsuki organization. The whole person stayed in Kirigakure for several years, continuously delivering materials and money to the organization. It even made the lives of civilians in the Rain Kingdom a little better. I didn't expect Obito and Zetsu to hide so deeply. Jayasuke, Daibutsu, and their friends. Nagato has always regarded himself as a god and has been using Obito, but he didn't expect that Obito was also using him. I was surprised after reading it, but I feel it should be true. Xiaonan also knew why Nagato was so shocked. Natsuki said that even if we do it, we can't kill Obito. Let you go find him in person later and he will tell you more. Nagato, what are you going to do? Nagato put down the scroll in his hand. His face was as thin as a skeleton, and his expression could not be seen. His time and space ninjutsu is too weird, but he restrains me more. Before I completely control the reincarnation, let's not fall out with them. We still need to continue to use the 2 of them to raise people and funds for the organization. I need to hide until everything is laid out. The outer wall was torn apart, and Tiandao walked in. Let's revive Hatasuke and the Buddha first. As for Yahiko, let's wait and see. Konan knew that Nagato still didn't know how to face Yahiko. After all, what they were doing now was completely different from Yahiko's original ideal. Ding. Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Xiao Nan's life trajectory. Congratulations to the host for getting the Art of God's papermaker X1. Natsuki, who was in Sunagakure village, was still discussing matters with Luo Sha in Luo Sha's conference room. A system prompt sounded suddenly next to my ears. It seems that Konan's fate has been changed. Then Konan will not die in Obito's hands. What about Nagato? It seems that Nagato's thoughts have become deified now and are not so easy to shake. However, they should fall out with Obito in advance. I don't know what Nagato can do. With Nagato's character, he would probably be fully prepared before taking action. It's like he went to Hanzo for revenge after he mastered the reincarnation eye proficiently enough. Chapter 68 Coveting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Daiming Mansion of the Land of Fire. What are the results of the investigation? That the daimyo's lazily voice came out, the staff below did not dare to neglect at all. Sir, the origin of the Chinese delicacies shop that came from Tiano country was started by Uchiha in the Sound Ninja village. That Uchiha from Konoha village, that although the daimyo is not very familiar with things in the ninja world, the famous Uchiha still knows about it. Yes, sir, there are Uchiha clan members in Konoha village who are also running this shop. Are the Uchiha clansmen in Tiano country a split from the Uchiha clan? Split? Is it a rebellion against the village? The daimyo became curious. The staff wiped their sweat and took out 2 reports. Sir, the confessions of the 3rd Hokage of Konoha and Danzo Shimura are different. The 3rd Hokage directly said that he ran away, while Danzo said that Uchiha rebelled against the village. The daimyo received the 2 reports presented to him. One was what the 3rd Hokage said in public, the other is a letter from Danzo's special report. Seeing the pile of words above, the daimyo frowned and instantly lost his curiosity. I was a bit bored and threw both reports out. Whether the Uchiha split or rebelled against the village, it had nothing to do with him. The Uchiha clan belongs to the village administration of Konoha, and Konoha has a nominal cooperative relationship with the daimyo. His name has no control over what happens to Uchiha, but the 3rd Hokage actually made such a mistake. Humph, the daimyo snorted coldly. That's all. Then are all this series of meals made by Uchiha? Yes. The staff member said truthfully, the daimyo is a little depressed, and there is also a chain of contempt among the daimyo. Where was the country of Tian before? It was a remote area. The so-called daimyo, in the eyes of the daimyo of the fire country, is just a country rich man. 2 years ago, when the daimyo of the kingdom of Taiden strongly supported this restaurant, the daimyo of the country of fire also laughed at the daimyo of the kingdom of Taiden. As a result, within 2 years, Chinese delicacies covered the entire Tian country, squeezing out all other catering services, and achieving a unified concept in catering. As long as the caravans who have been there are all praising it, the entire land country's food and beverages actually boosted the country's economy. Even the fire country's daimyo didn't believe it. Later, after reading the staff's statistical documents, I discovered that this was actually true. The daimyo of Tian country also made a fortune, the domestic economy developed rapidly, and the ninja village became the first among the 5 ninja villages. If it weren't for the fact that the country of Tian is too small, with few people and low products, I'm afraid other thoughts might arise. Naturally, the Fire Nation has a business team ready to try these things, but the so-called franchise fee is several times more expensive than in Tian country, and the number of places is still limited. In the view of the fire country daimyo, Tian country's behavior was revenge. There is no way. Big countries have bullied these small countries many times, and now they have the opportunity. They will naturally vent their anger. The daimyo of the land of fire also wanted to imitate it at first, but the seemingly simple stinky tofu turned out to have no odor or fragrance at all. There are also many recipes for specialty snacks. They tried a lot of seasonings, but the final results were different from the original ones. There are foods that can be imitated, but they are not systematic at all. The daimyo of the land of fire is extremely jealous. The kingdom of Tian is much more prosperous than before thanks to this economy. If it can be implemented in the kingdom of fire, it will make crazy profits. Tian's Higuo is just a countryside. The countryside. There was not even a ninja village before. But the person in Tian country who knows the secret recipe is not the shop owner. They were people sent by the Sound Ninja village. Each of these people were like stones in a latrine, smelly and hard. He refused to hand over the secret recipe despite threats and inducements. He was kidnapped and even committed suicide by taking poison. The daimyo of the land of fire was particularly speechless. It was just business. Why should he work so hard? What he didn't know was that the people sent out by the Sound Ninja village were all Orochimaru's people. They were either die-hard members who had been brainwashed by Orochimaru, or people who had been banned, otherwise, they would not be released to do business. In the catering industry, it is very easy to imitate, but to achieve the same taste as the original, it takes more than a little effort. Without years of cultural heritage, you will never be able to imitate the core secret recipes in some meals. The daimyo rubbed his aching head. Forget it, don't think about it anymore, let Danzo from Konoha village take charge of this matter, and be sure to get all the formulas. Yes. Konoha village, Hokage building. Sarutobi. The third Hokage, who was writing at his desk, raised his head, only to find Danzo walking in. What surprised the third Hokage was that Danzo did not use crutches and even took off the bandage on his right hand, revealing a healthy right arm. Danzo, your hand. Danzo smiled reservedly and raised his right hand. The injury is healed. There will be no need for bandages in the future. The third generation frowned, but he remembered that Danzo's arm had been modified in some way, so he kept it secret. Did Danzo restore his arm? The third generation didn't delve into it. After all, he didn't know before what kind of modification Danzo's arm had been. What are you here for? That the third generation's tone was very calm. Although Danzo was too ambitious before and was a little out of control, the third generation dismissed him from his post, which was a heavy blow to him. The third generation stopped paying fees to the Roots, and also banned some other ninjas from cooperating with them. The Roots are probably very poor now, but after all, Danzo and he have worked together for many years, and he will definitely be used in the future. As long as Danzo is still under his control, the things Danzo did before are nothing. Whenever Danzo is needed, he can be helped up at any time. This is Uchiha's profit and income calculation. Danzo took out a data sheet. The Hokage picked it up and took a look. There are so many. 20 million this year. Danzo's tone was as usual. This is just the data of our Konoha. If you add Tian country, there will be more than 50 million a year. Itachi and Shisui brought Chinese delicacies to Tano country. Although Tano country is poor, there are shops like this all over Tano country. No one knows how rich the Uchiha are. Danzo paused for a moment. The daimyo saw that Tian no Kuni had made a lot of money, so he told me to get all the formulas. So, Hiruzen, now I need you to cooperate with me. With a hint of pride on his face, Danzo took out a letter of order. The third Hokage frowned, picked up the order book and saw that it was true. The third Hokage picked up his pipe and took a long puff of smoke. Unexpectedly, Danzo actually used force towards the daimyo. It's not easy to deal with now. As the head of a village, he has a lot of money to spend. The reason why Konoha has always been the strongest in the ninja world is because there is a lot of money, and money can be infinitely converted into various resources, whether it's population, food, or anything else. Konoha village has always had the upper hand in several ninja wars. As for the powerful military country of Thunder, the Kumo ninja have been fighting Konoha on and off for more than 10 or 20 years. When Konoha's military strength was weak, it forced Kumogakure to collapse and sued for peace just because it had more money. A large part of the money made by Konoha village itself lies in the various subsidies handed down by the daimyos of the Land of Fire. The Land of Fire is a vast country with a large population and abundant resources. In order to maintain its leading position in the ninja world, the relationship between the daimyo and the Leaf Village can be said to be very good. After all, Konoha village has defeated other countries so that he can make money easily. Well now, the daimyo has set his sights on this Chinese delicacy, and the daimyo directly passed him and gave Danzo orders. Was it because of Uchiha's departure? It seems that he didn't report it, which made the daimyo have a grudge, although Konoha village, as a military group, does not need to look at the face of the daimyo. After all, the number of ninjas is too small, and they cannot manage the entire country if they are not involved in production. The daimyo has become a big benefactor, so under normal circumstances, the third generation is still very generous. Chapter 69 Comeback. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage building. Sendai looked through the documents on the table and found everything he could find. From the flow of people to the price per customer, we have made long-term statistics. It seems that Danzo has been thinking about Uchiha's store for more than a day or two. Danzo was too well prepared and wrote everything clearly. Even the third Hokage didn't expect. Uchiha's income is actually so high. According to statistics, Konoha's funds are more than 10 times more than Uchihas, but the money does not belong to the third Hokage alone, and he cannot decide where to spend it. All expenses such as village construction, ninja wages, occult research, ANBU support, etc. need to go out from here, but Uchiha is different. 90% of the money earned by the Uchiha clan belongs to Fugaku, the clan leader, and he can spend it wherever he wants. If this continues, will the Uchiha become guests in the future? All ninjas are based on profit. If the money is available, it is not impossible to vote for Uchiha Fugaku. Sandai didn't expect the matter to be so serious, and a sense of urgency suddenly rose in his heart. Just when he was about to think about how to deal with it, he found Danzo standing in front of him. The third Hokage smiled inwardly. Well, professional matters should be left to professionals. Danzo was familiar with him after all. Sandai's pipe tapped on the paper. What are you going to do? Danzo said, my people have tried to imitate it, but the taste is always a little worse. There are indeed some secret recipes that I don't know, but the taste just can't compare to them. Seeing Danzo's ambitious look, the third generation couldn't help but said, you're not going to do it forcefully, you can't handle their Susanoo. Danzo's face turned green. I won't fight them head-on. Danzo shook the document in his hand. Hiruzen, you can use supporting them as an excuse to ask Fugaku to share the secret recipe. Sandai frowned. I'm afraid Fugaku won't agree. Danzo smiled sinisterly. If he doesn't agree, there are ways to make him agree. The third generation seemed to be thinking, what do you want? Danzo said without hesitation, restore the roots. The third generation paced back and forth for a long time, and finally his eyes glanced at the huge number in the column of Uchiha family income. Sandai shook his head and said, it is impossible to restore the roots. Danzo didn't speak. He knew that the roots would not be restored that easily, but after all, the daimyo gave him the task. The third generation wanted to see the daimyo's face no matter what, so he knew that the third generation still had the last part to say. The third generation continued, I can say hello to those ninjas and do not prohibit them from cooperating with you. Danzo said with some disdain, that's not enough, Hiruzen. Sandai thought for a moment, I'll give you 2 more honorary elder positions. Honorary elder. Danzo thought for a moment. Honorary elder is a position held by every great ninja clan except the Uchiha clan. He has no real power, but he has the right to make suggestions. When voting for Hokage, the votes he holds are also crucial. Already considered a powerful class, to sit in the position of advisory elder, an honorary elder is a must. The third Hokage obviously gave Danzo the position of an honorary elder, and the other honorary elder was an asset for Danzo's operation. Danzo was satisfied and asked again, Hiruzen, who do you think is the right other honorary elder? Sandai took a puff of cigarette and said, the security department can move. Danzo thought for a moment. The security department is now under the control of Hyuga Hisashi. The clan of the Hyuga clan has long been outdated. If it can be beneficial. It just so happened that Danzo was placed at the root of the security team, and because Nakamura Kanzuya was expelled, everything became a dead end, and Hisashi's affection for Natsuki has been suppressing these people to death, and they are only allowed to patrol the 1st and 4th streets of Konoha every day. They are not allowed to interfere anywhere else. If an elder from the Hyuga clan intervenes, can the roots be moved? Hokage building. Fugaku suddenly received an invitation from the third Hokage, so I came to the Hokage building early. Entering the office, the third Hokage was already handling official business. This is the first time to see the third Hokage since the last Kyomogakure incident. Lord the third Hokage. Fugaku's mood was different now, and he no longer had any emotions towards the third Hokage. When you see the destruction of the ninja world in the future, it is difficult for Fugaku to feel respected by the shadow of a village. The third Hokage has become a good old man over the years. He said with a smile, Fugaku is here, sit down. Fugaku sat down as he was told. I wonder what the third generation wants to do with me. The third generation picked up the tea cup. Fugaku, we may not have seen each other for a long time. It seems that your Uchiha clan has been developing very well recently. You, the clan leader, have contributed a lot to this. Fugaku said calmly, it's okay. These are all Xiaomu's contribution and have nothing to do with me. The third generation clearly felt the change in Fugaku's attitude. He said cheerfully, "All your Uchiha restaurants are popular in Konoha village." Fugaku didn't answer. The third generation added, "Fugaku, the village is ready to strongly support your shop." Fugaku raised his eyebrows. "How are you going to support the third generation?" That the third generation took out a floor plan of Konoha village and drew a circle on it with his finger. The Chinese food shops are all concentrated on 8th Street, and there are still a lot of people on other streets. This is a huge waste. The third Hokage said matter-of-factly. "I am going to give you 8 shops on each street from 1st to 7th Street, so that your shops can cover the entire Konoha." Fugaku followed the third Hokage's finger and saw that the circle drawn by the third Hokage basically included all the commercial streets of Konoha. If Chinese food shops were opened on these streets, the income of the Uchiha clan would undoubtedly double, but Fugaku looked apologetically and said to the third Hokage, "Sir, third generation, we Uchiha don't have that many people, and we Uchiha can't take care of so many shops." The third generation nodded. "I have thought of this problem a long time ago, so I will send someone to manage the store. You Uchiha only need technical training. In the end, we can share the profits equally. What do you think, Fugaku?" Fugaku sneered in his heart. It turned out that he coveted our secret recipe. "No need, Hokage-sama, I think Uchiha has enough business and doesn't have enough energy to take care of other things. I have no plans to open more stores for the time being." Fugaku stood up. "The clan is busy with things. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first." After saying this, Fugaku walked outside. Although the current Uchiha's income on the surface is less than 1/10 of Konoha's, Natsuki left so many Tano Kuni franchise fees before. Fugaku is now very confident and does not need to worry about the third generation's face. Sandai did not leave Fugaku behind, but calmly put the map away. This time he was just being polite first and then fighting. He had long known that he would not be able to handle the current Uchiha like he did back then. Chapter 70 The Layout of the Kingdom of Wind. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Country of Wind, Sand-Hidden Village. This is sour plum soup, this is burnt jelly grass, and this is herbal tea. Xia Mu handed Luo Sha one plan after another. Here are desserts, peach gum, glutinous rice, cough suppressants, poria paste. These are detailed ways of making them. Luo Sha holds this pile of plans. As the shadow of a village, he certainly has strategic vision. He quickly discovered the commercial value. I have selected these that are more in line with the climate of your kingdom of wind. You can find someone you trust and run them yourself, and we will split the money in the end. Luo Sha frowned. What is your purpose? Natsuki smiled and said, you are the shadow of a village. If you promote it, we Uchiha can make more money. It can be considered as finding an ally for us Uchiha. Natsuki emphasized the pronunciation of the words we Uchiha. Luo Sha suddenly realized that Uchiha was now the dominant family in Konoha, and ranked first in Konoha in terms of economy and high-end combat power, but the overall strength is still slightly inferior to that of Konoha where all major ninja clans gather. What Uchiha lacks most now is development. Although Fugaku has resigned from the post of guard captain, as long as Uchiha has money, he can provide resources to various ninja clans. In the selection of Hokage, it doesn't matter if you have the right before you, if you can provide enough benefits, then even if you were a commoner before, you can still choose the shadow of a village. Raza was elected because of his sufficient meritorious service during the Third Ninja War, and Fugaku has already shown his strength as a powerful Mangekyo Sharingan. Since the third Hokage suppresses him in terms of power, Uchiha saved the country and developed economically to run for the position of Hokage. Natsuki, the deputy chief of the Uchiha clan, had given him plenty of benefits when he came to Sunagakure village. Natsuki solved the ceiling problem that could not be improved in the entire sand-hidden village. Luo Sha asked many people in the village to check it out. Xia Mu's sealing technique was indeed unique, and he really came with good intentions. From now on, Gaara can freely control whether to talk to Shikaku, and there is no longer the risk of going berserk. It also allowed Raza and Gaara to reconcile, and let Raza know that she had done many things wrong, although the process made Luo Sha very uncomfortable, but the situation is stronger than the people, And the rules are made by the strong. Besides, Natsuki just wants one Uchiha ally, a win-win situation. Luo Sha couldn't think of any reason not to agree. Okay. I agreed. As long as I, Raza, am in power for one day, I will be your Uchiha's strongest ally. A smile appeared on Natsuki's face. Now that the official business is over, the next step is private business. Received Luo Sha's promise, Xiaomu also sat relaxedly on the chair. Oh, Natsuki said, although the ninja world has gone through 3 wars, there are still many careerists. Gaara's seal is now solid, but as a Jinchuriki, he will inevitably be coveted. Luo Sha listened carefully. The country of Wind was relatively poor among the 5 major countries. The daimyo had no intention of governing the country, and the funds of Sunagakure village had been cut for a long time. Therefore, he, the shadow of a village, could only go out as a gold digger to subsidize Sunagakure's finances. If Luo Sha hadn't learned this skill, I'm afraid Feng Ying wouldn't have had his turn. The Jinchuriki were originally used as the village's strategic weapons, but Sunagakure village lacked talents and did not have talents who were proficient in sealing techniques. As a result, Ichibi Shikaku has always been able to see but not use it. Originally, Funfu controlled Ichibi Shikaku quite well. His clear mind made Shikaku even admire him. However, due to the power struggle among the senior officials of Sunagakure, neither of them wanted the other to control the Jinchuriki, so he chose to imprison Funfu in prison until he grew old. Many opportunities were missed in vain. Natsuki continued, we Uchiha have reliable information that there is a huge force that is plotting against tailed beasts. Their strength is so strong that it may affect more villages than Konoha and Sunagakure in the end. And Gaara is also part of their plan. Luo Sha did not ask Xiaomu about the source of the information, which was a secret belonging to others. I just felt a little nervous about the idea of fighting the tailed beast, and now Gaara was a Jinchuriki. As we all know, if the tailed beast is drawn out, the Jinchuriki will die. This is tantamount to killing Gaara. What are you going to do, Mr. Natsuki? Natsuki said, I am very optimistic about Gaara's talent. Gaara should have been violent often before and did not receive a good education. In the past few years, Master Kazekage might as well concentrate on training Gaara to avoid the disaster that will surely happen in the future. With Gaara's potential to grow to adulthood, he will be the best candidate for the next Kazekage. Luo Sha was a little moved. It was one thing for her to recognize her child's talent, but it was another thing for others to recognize her. He has personally experienced Shemu's power, but such a strong man, he actually thinks so highly of Gaara. Luo Sha solemnly promised, don't worry, Mr. Natsuki, I will train Gaara well. In addition to business cooperation, I am here this time to bring you this news so that you can be prepared. Raza felt a little uneasy. As the deputy chief of the Uchiha clan, he was the master of the Mangekyo Sharingan. People who stand at such a height will not give special instructions without aim, but that organization hasn't shown up yet, so Luo Sha can only keep her worries in her heart. After Xiaomu explained everything, he quickly set off without stopping. The purpose of his coming to the Kingdom of Sand was for Gaara, and he wanted to form a good relationship with Gaara now so that he could be included in his own influence in the future. Now that Obito is causing trouble in Kirigakure, there is not much time left for Natsuki. Natsuki took out the map and looked carefully. The people to be abducted were distributed in the country of grass and the country of Taki. The Kingdom of Water, which has the most talented people, is alone overseas. To get there, he has to cross the entire Kingdom of Sichuan and the Kingdom of Fire. Taking a boat from Kuni, it takes several months of sailing to get to Water Country. Because of their alliance, Konoha and Sunagakure have relatively convenient roads, but other countries may not have such easy access. Natsuki sighed, it would be better to let Itachi go and go to the Kingdom of Water himself. I saw yellow sand all over the sky and no one around. Natsuki quickly wrote something on the scroll, asking Itachi to go to the country of grass to abduct Kaso, and to go to the country of Taki to capture Yugo. Both of these people can play a very important role in Orochimaru's research. Xiaomu stretched out his hand to form a seal, psychic art. Bang! The smoke dissipated, and a crow appeared. Give this message to Itachi. Natsuki ordered. Ah. The dumb crow quickly disappeared. the Uchiha clan has always had a good relationship with ninja cats and ninja crows, and Natsuki chose ninja crows. Xiaomu has no requirements for psychic beasts. In his opinion, the most useful aspects of psychic beasts are communication and reverse psychic techniques. After all, in the later stages, all psychic beasts are just decorations. In the clan, they have always used Chiming's ninja cat to communicate. Now that Natsuki is out, she exchanges news with Ninja Crow and Itachi.